it's a challenging thing to find good staff today. It's a challenging thing to find good operators. How are you? I guess that's my first deep question to you. How are you finding great people that are taking these hit factories and getting more and more? Welcome back to the Marketing Muscle Up podcast show. I'm Richard Tutunji, and in today's episode, we are talking all about franchising. And most importantly, we're talking about franchising with the right amount of energy, salt and pepper. In my next guest, I've got an amazing founder. Her name is Colette McShane. She's the founder of Hit Factory. Hit Factory is a growing brand. I believe there's got about 6 to 8 locations. I first came across this brand about 2 years ago. We run a program called Marketing Ninjas, and we had some clients in this program, and they had some amazing energy, and what they were doing, I thought, what is going on here, and where is this coming from? So a shout out to some of our clients that have come from here: Ida, Anna, Fiona. They've got Northcote, Mornington, and Essendon, and they run their businesses with so much energy, so much passion, great learners, great educators. And I thought, wow, it's not just one, it's two, it's three. It's every single franchisee have some amazing secret sauce. So where's it coming from? And that's why I've got Colette on the show today. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you here. Your background wasn't always in the fitness industry, was it?
No, it definitely wasn't. I've always been very much involved with different sports my entire life. So I started off tiny as an athlete. I was in the sort of triathlon world, cross-country running, you name it, like all the way through it growing up. But I worked in media for 15 years prior to launching what is now the Hit Factory back in 2013. And I remember at the time thinking, I've lost all these skills that I've learned in media. There's 15 years of stuff that I've learned. It's been pointless. Little did I know that it was actually going to be the thing that would be a big part of the success of the brand. So grateful for that time, for sure.
Now, in 2013, you launched a app called PT in My Pocket. Now, what a great name, by the way. And this app has gone on to really help thousands of people change the way they exercise. Let's just touch on PT in My Pocket. So I love the backstories of how the Hit Factory, come about today. Touch on the PT in the Pocket. How did that come about?
So the app came about because I'd started off these classes back in 2013. It was just me running sessions in schools, gym halls, church halls, the park. That was when I sort of very first started off, but it grew rapidly. So within 6 months, I would have 50 people turning up to a class. It was absolutely bananas, a crazy time.
Wow.
And then I got quite into social media quite early on. Back then, it was a lot easier. It wasn't so, I guess, diluted, as it is now, so crazy. So I'd be pushing stuff out, workouts, little snippets of what's happening at my classes, the buzz, what was happening for clients and in terms of their transformations. And people were asking me, how do I train with you? I'd love to train with you, but I live in, middle of absolute nowhere, or I live in the UK, I live in such and such, other parts of Australia. So I thought, how do I do this? What's the best way of reaching them? And I decided to create the workout app PT in My Pocket. That actually launched in 2015. So it was 2 years into the journey of running classes. So basically, it's a really simple, straightforward app. You press play and I'm right there with you in your living room. Little did I know that now our whole Hit Factory business has sort of got that whole live stream thing happening as well, where we're in your living room every day. But it's all cued in a way that I was so experienced with cueing my classes that I knew exactly the hurt locker points that someone was going through during a workout. The workouts are short and snappy, between 5 minutes, and the longest is 27 minutes.
Yes.
All body weight, no equipment. So you can literally press play and have this PT pushing you through this session with music, cues, and to suit whatever you wanted to work on, whether it was trim tummy 10, like focusing on abs and core, or the legs 11 workout, which is 11 minutes of leg strength that you can repeat multiple times to get like a longer session in. So that's kind of how it all started. I mean, definitely a very slight regret that I have is not pushing the app as I started to franchise the business. I'm not like, I don't think there's anything wrong with me sort of saying that. It's definitely very hard to do it all. And I've probably sacrificed that side of what I do for becoming a franchisor, which is full on, but rewarding in a totally different way. But you know what? I've just recorded some tracks recently for PT in my pocket, and I am going to launch those very soon.
Yeah, well done. When you're at the leading edge of something, you don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. You've got no idea. But I think it just goes to show you the intensity that you move, I feel, where you're now spending a lot of your time also too, as well as the PT in my pocket, with these hit factories. And I do want to talk about that more because, the history of where someone gets to, there's always a backstory. There's always a reason why. And I think, the PT in my pocket, the reason for that, young family, busy mum, can't go to different places. There's your family and friends are in different parts of the world. And so it makes sense. Now what you're doing, you're actually, the hit factory from what I know, every single, franchisee that is in your proximity, that gets a location, they're just amazing at what they do. And I've seen this firsthand in how this works. Like Ida was our Ninja of the Year last year, taking over that prize and, doubling her business and Fiona, amazing operator in the Hit Factory. Anna, all great movers and shakers. And I guess my number one question is, they say, similar people hang out. They say, find people that are better than you. You've gone out and pretty much, I think, duplicated your energy. How does that happen? Because, it's a challenging thing to find good staff today. It's a challenging thing to find good operators. How are you? I guess that's my first deep question to you. How are you finding great people that are taking these hit factories and getting more and more?
So all of our Hit Factory owners, so there's 6 additional studios, and then there's the Yarraville, which is the founding studio that I still own and operate, all came from within. So with the exception of Ida, who I'm pretty sure started off as a coach with us in another location. The rest started off as members. I can remember their first ever sessions, walking through the door. Vividly remember them all. They became they absolutely just loved the workouts, not just the workout, but the energy that you get from our classes. And I guess at that time, sort of my classes. And then they went on to say, look, I love doing this. I'd love to join the coaching team. Do you think I'm a good fit? And there's been a lot of other people who have asked that question. And I'll always, say, go for it. You won't know until you try. It's not going to work for everybody. It certainly has worked for all of those that we have. And they fell in love with it, became a coach. And then the next step from there is owning your own studio. So for us, whilst it's absolutely brilliant to have that caliber of person running a studio, it can also make it quite hard when finding people. So far we've just been organic, all of our locations, just an organic growth. But our next step is to actually scale and then to start to find people. And that's going to have to be something we're going to have to try and find. But they are out there. I definitely come across people in the industry. I think, geez, you've got good energy and a good spark. And I've trained quite a few trainers in master training formats and things. And I'm like, oh, they would be so good at running a Hit Factory. So it's time to start to get the word out there a little bit.
Yeah, love that. Listen, you're a kind of busy person. You've just recently had a newborn baby. Is that correct?
Indeed, and I'm never more grateful for our live stream product than I am now, because I get to work out with our Yarraville studio pretty much every day from home with little Jimmy, who's now 10 months.
Oh, how cute.
I've actually got now, yeah, he's very, very cute. He loves our live stream studio at home. He just runs into this room because it's lights and noise, and he makes the noises. And I've got another little baby on the way as well. And I think that's something that is worth mentioning as well. Like, all of our franchisees, studio owners are mums.
Wow.
It's not a prerequisite, but the whole business was started on the basis of there being nowhere like this that you could bring your kids along to. And there's now a lot of places where they've got, creche facilities, but this was what it was all about at the time. It was about empowering mum, come along, bring your bub in the pram. We've got a kids area for you for the little ones, or they'll be right beside you as a toddler doing the little burpees and everything else, all body weight at that point in time. So nice and safe, not dealing with equipment and things like that. And being a mum, you can understand, you're able to be empathetic. And I think that's a big part of running a successful fitness business. Like, it's not a case of you should be training this morning, like, why are you not at a session? I've always been really big on ensuring that our social media and any communications we have with our communities, or not communities, but just out there, is never about that. It's never about like making someone feel bad about not training or guilting them into something. Instead, it's about rewarding them when they do, because if you're a mum, I barely sleep at the moment because Jimmy's not a great sleeper. It was a little bit different when I had my daughter. When I started the Hit Factory, she was a lot better, thankfully, because I was out delivering sessions at 6 a.m. But with Jimmy, he is happiest boy, but not through the night. So I now switch on, I do nighttime sessions, and that's something that I'd never really trained like that in the past. So I think you've just got to be very empathetic towards what your customers, are going through. And I think that all of our guys are extremely good at that.
Well, mums have to be good at multitasking, right?
Yes.
So I think there's definitely some wins there. Talk about, a lot of people dream of the first studio. Some people say, "Yep, let's get that studio." They get to one and they go, "Okay, how can I get to the next one?" But you made a decision to take this more than just you, and so, okay, how do we make it bigger? How do we get franchisees? How do we go down that path? Can you take me through, what you have to do if someone's out there saying, "Hey, I'm actually interested in that." What you had to do, think about it. Where do you start for something like this?
Yeah, so you mean if somebody has said, "Look, I'm thinking about maybe opening a Hit Factory studio"?
Yeah, well, two options. The first option is if someone's out there and they've got one location and they saying, "Hey, I want to expand to be the next whoever." What was the first step that you need to do after you dreamed about it? How did you actually take that step? Did you have to go to a lawyer? Did you have to figure out what to do, trademarks? How did that early stage happen for you?
A massive, massive learning curve. So very similarly to PT My Pocket, with people wanting to, be reached with my workouts in all different places, people wanted to experience the Hit Factory in all different locations as well. So I ask out in the marketplace, where would you love to see a Hit Factory? And there'd be just hundreds of locations popping up and everything. Yeah. And at the time, I actually started it as a licensed product.
Right. Yep.
Which was a bit of very much a learning curve, made lots of mistakes along the way, realized we weren't really very well protected at the time. And we'd be much, much better suited to becoming a franchise. Yes. So we started as a license, I think 2017, but end of 18-19 was when we actually built the franchise model and transitioned to that, knowing that basically both the franchisee and the franchisor were 100% protected. It was absolutely a partnership, so it's something that works in tandem for both of us. Yep. So in terms of the first step, it's legal. There's a lot of contracts that you need to do as a franchisor. You'll spend a huge amount of money on documentation, from disclosure docs to your franchise agreement and various other things. So is engaging with a good franchise lawyer. So we went with a specialist that actually specializes within the fitness industry, predominantly has a few of the quite large gym groups in her stable, and I think that helps as well. So I'd probably suggest that. It's not to say that you couldn't go with someone that specializes in franchises, but I think having that fitness and even the wellness space side is probably quite a good help.
And being the franchisor, and also you're also owning a location, you're in the midst of it. You're running a business and you're being a franchisor to your franchisees. What requires, what do you have to do to change the hat every time when you're dealing with running your own location, and then you're also dealing with, being a leader and showing how to grow their locations?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely helps. The fact that we run, like, we're not as, obviously not anywhere near as hands-on with our location as I was when that was in a sort of startup phase or before we franchised, because we've got such a good team there. We've got an amazing group of 7 coaches who run our sessions from there.
Yep.
So it doesn't take up as much time as it used to, but it's still very much a daily, hourly thing.
Yep.
And I think it helps because I know, like, that when we need to keep on progressing. I'm thinking, the Yarraville location was the first location that I started, and that's the one that we run. I know when it's time, we need something new. And I think the franchisees are always like, where the heck are you coming out with this? Like a new workout format or a new kind of idea for how we go to market with a 6-week challenge. And I think it's just being on the ground as such, knowing what our customers want will help us deliver what our franchisees can then take to market as well. So it helps. We're quite a small team, so there's only the 6 franchisees, and myself and my partner Gaz, who run the franchisors. So we chat every day. We're very much hands-on. We communicate through Slack and obviously good old phone calls and catching up. But we're on Slack every day. We've got a channel for every single part of our business. And there'll never be a time when a franchisee is like, oh, I'm waiting for a response for this. It's very much communication. Communication is absolutely key. And sometimes I'm learning from them as well. I think that's important as a founder as well. I don't know it all. In fact, one of our franchisees, Ida from Northcote, she actually brought zip leads to me, the idea about us implementing zip leads, who I know that you work closely with, Rich at Com. And I was like, oh, this is awesome, Ida, thank you. I'll have a look at it. And then we'll make recommendations across the board. So I think that's important too. And that might be harder to find in a bigger franchise group where there's 100 or a couple of 100 locations. Our guys have got such a voice, if they've got ideas, we'll use them.
It's a breath of fresh air, because when we work with any franchisee, independent, like a part of a brand, it's a hard sort of balance, because the franchisor has top of the line brand equity, and the franchisee needs to work on local area marketing and individual marketing. But I find that it is like one big family over there, if I want to kind of put it in a broad sense. Is that I guess is that what you want it to be? Is that how it needs to feel? Because it's a different feel franchise. I've never seen this feel before.
I think it is. And it's like when we open a new location, we like go into it with a build it up. And we always launch with a big launch workout party, and they always feel the same in in the best way possible. Like we all attend each other's launches. We always have champers at the end at like midday, whenever like the last class finishes. We have maybe a few hundred people through the door for like free workouts. We get all the franchisees, the coaches up on stage taking sessions, and it just has that same feel across every single launch and location. So yes, very much so. And that, again, it's something that it means it can be a little bit harder to replicate. People is number one for us in terms of looking for franchisees. It's going to come down to that person that's going to be the day-to-day leader of that business. And yes, very much family feel is the way to go for us.
I love it. Talk about being a leader. I'd love to know your take on that. Obviously, the last 2 years has been you've had, people have had to lead. What does leadership mean for you? How do you become a good leader, with all your franchisees?
Yeah, well, the last 2 years has been pretty phenomenal in terms of growth there, not just from myself, but all of our franchisees. When we went into the beginning of the pandemic, it was a case of how the heck are we going to do this? And there was times when I would say, look, I don't have all the answers, but this is what I think we should do right now, and we're going to run with this. There's nobody could have anticipated what was ahead, but for me, I just knew I had to protect the revenue streams of all of our locations.
Yep.
And the only way to do that was to deliver a product that was still going to be a case of everyone paying their normal memberships and whatnot, but delivering an exceptional live stream product that was protected so that each location was looking after their own community. Like we could have ran the live stream from head office, but instead of that, it was a case of, and we said that at the start, so look, this is full on. If you have a think, if whether you want us to run your live stream, they can still book in via your systems, your booking system and everything else, or can we get you guys all geared up so that you all deliver to your communities? And I've been such a big stickler for that along the way. Like it's really, really important that you protect your own community. So, and all of them came back and said, yeah, let's do it. Teach me to be this live stream queen or king in terms of delivery. And I think empowering them all to do that was like the best decision that I ever made in business. And as a result of that, as much as we've had a really hard couple of years, as everyone has, everyone came out of it pretty strong. We were only down in revenue across the group by about 11% in the first year, which is
super
phenomenal,
strong.
Yeah. So I think, being able to make decisions like that. I think being a good leader as well, being able to admit when you've maybe not made a good decision. I'm the fastest person ever to put my hand up and say, guys, I'm sorry, I've cocked up here or made an error here, or I think you need to be able to do that, and also to be able to listen and understand. And like I said earlier on, that we'll often implement things that are brought to us by our franchisees. It doesn't have to just come from us. It's like, that's a good idea, that's going to work for all of us. So I think being able to take that on board is really important as well.
Yeah, great feedback there. I do want to ask you about being a business owner and also being a mum. There's a lot of talk out there that we need more in the fitness industry. Whenever there's an event, it's like, how many, where's the female speakers? Is there more female speakers? And you're a really empowering person going out there. What is the trick of being a mum and also growing a business, not maintaining a business, but actually growing a business, finding new locations and new franchisees? What's the 2 or 3 strategies that you use if there's any mum fitness business owners listening to this?
I think, for me, it's being a mum or becoming a mum 9 years ago now to my daughter was my biggest driver without question. My whole reason behind sort of building the business was, if I was going to leave my daughter to be in daycare a couple of days a week, I want to make sure that she knows that her mummy is off out to do something that she absolutely loves. And that was the number one thing that drove me to switching industries, because I wasn't getting that from the industry that I was in, but I was absolutely loving it when I was out there delivering sessions, still absolutely love it. So I think using it as a driver, we want to live the best life that we can. We want to set a good, strong example to show that we can achieve absolutely anything, providing we're prepared for a bit of hard work. You know, we might sacrifice sleep in many different ways, both being a mum and also working hard on the business and things keeping us awake at night. But I think that is a real driver. It certainly is for myself. And as you get further into things, you also think a lot more about work-life balance. And I've heard you speak about this a little bit, Rich, as well. I probably didn't have that 5 years ago. Probably didn't even have it 3 years ago, to be honest. But now I feel like the last couple of years is it's taught everybody a lot about, you know, balance and everything else. So I'll definitely say no to a lot more things. I'll try not to let the small stuff like stress me out. You know, and I think having our live stream product has been a really great thing for us as a business, because it keeps me so connected, but without having to be in our studio all the time as well. And I think that's been great for our franchisees, because we can tap in and lean on each other a little bit there. And an example of that is at your Calm Immersive. 3 of our guys are heading to Sunshine Coast, and we are covering a lot of their classes as live stream. Now, I did mention earlier, I'm a real stickler for ensuring that we don't do too much of that, because you need to protect your own community. So we don't cross share, like, unless we sort of need to. But we're head office, so I know half the people in our Mornington studio, heaps of our Essendon crew, loads of our Northcote crew. So when we deliver to them and live stream, it's like, welcome this morning to Northcote, welcome to Mornington, and you know, and so on. And that's given our franchisees an extra level of work-life balance. They can actually go up and spend time working on their business, and their business is still running super well whilst they're not there. So definitely that's been great as a mum as well, you know. And just lastly on that, I was going to say, just a third point I think is that, like, it's as much as we say it's there's that balance, and there definitely is. There's also a lot of freedom. You know, I'll pick my daughter up at school 3:20 every day, myself or Gaz. All the rest of the team are exactly the same, all the franchisees. You know, we really do. We can attend stuff. Yes, we might be working early in the morning, starting our sessions, or later at night, finishing sessions, but we can be present with our families. So that's the key, I think, to longevity as well.
So don't hold meetings. Know who's in your community. Don't hold meetings at 3:20 in the afternoon. Hey.
Exactly.
Well, as I said, this is a really unique franchise, and I'm really excited to see the growth that will definitely be here as well. Coming through and coming up. Where do you see the fitness industry as a whole take us over the next couple of years? There's a saying that I've heard that when things are tight, or there's a recession or something like that, it's if you've got more of a mum audience, you could say, they're the first ones to tighten the belt, to tighten the family budget a little bit. What are your thoughts on growth over the next 3 years? What's the way that we can get the growth? Like, how can we generate more business for our studio or gym that we have? And how do we keep focused on the growth instead of worrying about the problems that are just always popping up here and there? Or that may pop up as we see a lot more coming now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been chatting a little bit with our franchisees and with Gaz, business partner, and like there definitely is a little bit of a crunch on people's expenses, and it's going to probably get a little bit harder in the next wee while. But I think, if you sort of weigh it all up and there's something that's important that you continue with, it's definitely going to be your fitness, whether that's being in a 24/7 gym that's, $10 a week, or like slightly higher, boutique type fitness. That it's such an important thing mentally, to stay on top of. And I feel that the pandemic has definitely brought that to light a little bit more. Like, you need to be feeling good, both physically and sound mentally as well. And that's what fitness gives you. So I think that's something that we all need to like be promoting more of. And it's not about like that body transformation. It's about feeling good, that great energy that you get from training, doing a sesh, you know, so that will become even bigger, I think, for all of us in the industry. In terms of where else it goes, it's so hard to sort of say, because things have fast tracked so quickly over the last couple of years. You know, there's so many people training at home now. There's so many tools and gadgets and cool things coming out that who knows what's going to be next. I think we just got to always be trying to move forward fairly fast. And not stagnating at all.
Great advice there, and I love the I love the directional thing. It's like, yes, health is here, and I think we have to be great ambassadors for health and fitness. And I think this is I think this is a great time to actually market. I was just at a little video this morning about this. I think it's one of the best times to market at the moment, when people need to hear this message more and more and more, instead of just assuming that, people know, yes, you should get fit, but now is a great time to do it, because now more than ever they need us. And it's an interesting fit. And I think that, you know, with brands that have energy like yours and every other location there, I don't think this is an issue, because people are now moving towards leadership. They're moving towards people that are going to show them the way and show them what to do with their fitness and health. So it is an interesting time, but I love that positivity that you bring to it, because that's exactly what it needs to grow your business. Yeah. Well, last question I have for you. I really love your brand, and I really want to support it any way I can. If somebody's on the fence and say, hey, listen, I would like to get a location. This sounds really great for me. Where do they go? Where should they start? How can they get involved?
It comes straight to me, I guess. I'm very easy to reach as such. And I think initially it's usually just a phone call catch up is the best first step to take. As I sort of mentioned, we have only ever grown organically until now. We were about to start marketing heavy in 2019 and towards the end of that year. And then we actually did. We slightly, got into sort of a couple of marketing campaigns. And then beginning of 2020, it all changed. And I made that decision then not to take on any franchises, which who knows whether it was the right decision or not. But all I wanted to make sure is that our existing guys were very well looked after at the time, rather than concentrating on opening up elsewhere. But we're now ready. We've just opened a location in Cheltenham. Again, that's a member that discovered us through live stream, been training with us for 2 years, fell in love with it. And she's absolutely just a perfect fit. We're so lucky. Her name's Julie. And that just came about from a conversation. She said, I wish there was a HIIT factory in Cheltenham where I live. And I said, Julie, you would be brilliant at running that. You've got all the skills, you're bubbly, you're so passionate about our sessions. So sometimes it's just that conversation, but definitely reaching out to me. You can find me at Colette with 1L at thehitfactory.com.au. You can find me on socials fairly easily as well, under the HIIT Factory or the HIIT Mum. And just, get in touch. I'd love to hear from you if you've got good energy, if you're passionate and just love all things like, I guess, empowering people, making them feel awesome, then get in touch for sure. And I can hopefully help you build a really successful business.
I love it. I think the revolution in fast fitness is definitely coming back. It was so good to have you here on the podcast. And thank you for being a great listener to this podcast. I know you listen to a lot of these episodes as well. I'm really excited to see the future of the HIIT Factory. And a big shout out to all your franchisees, especially the amazing women that we work with inside our Ninja program as well. I think, they're a testament to the success of your brand. So thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute honor. Thank you.
Team, if you've enjoyed this episode, all you have to do is subscribe to see some more, or jump on our website, commarketing.com.au, if you want to grow your health and fitness studio and want to learn how to become a marketing ninja. Fill in the form and we'll be in touch soon. Until next time, wish you all the best. Go down and go back and listen to some episodes that really inspire you and make you think to growing your business in a different way. Bye for now.